Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lieutenant Stephen Rogers with Tricia Flanagan here at Campaign for America. It is 6:28 p.m. here on the East Coast of the United States of America, and I thank all of you throughout our nation and from around the world who has been tuning in to us live on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Zoom, and on Twix TV. We have an ever-expanding base across the country, and especially here in the state of New Jersey and in Florida. So we're going to see our numbers grow. Tricia, another consistent viewership numbers. We're up to about, I think we're averaging between 25 and 35,000 per broadcast. And that adds up every week. And it's a testament to what we've been able to do and achieve here at Campaign for America.
Oh, absolutely. We're so honored that you choose to spend this time with us on an evening basis. And it really is, as you said, a testament to the truth that's being delivered. And I think that that momentum is going to grow because, you know, today we had a somber day. We had the transference to a new administration. When you look at the cabinets, the cabinet members that Joe Biden has put together, it's all Democrats except for 2 independents. I mean, we are really in a different era of this administration. And I think that the momentum for us staying connected and staying close to the truth that we're delivering at Campaign for America, I think that's going to be more important than ever. So I'm grateful that we're staying close, we're sharing, and we're staying connected.
And you know, you're right, Tricia. I kind of got into that little bit of a somber mood also after hearing from the President of the United States the list of things he accomplished. And one thing that I'm really proud of the many things he did, but at least in my lifetime and me being a career military officer, he kept our nation out of war. He kept our sons and our daughters, our grandchildren, and any other relatives who are 18 years old to maybe 30, he kept them out of war. And he reduced troops and foreign interventions that, frankly, we've been for many, many years. Under his watch, not much American blood was shed, and certainly not caused by him. And yet, the people who are criticizing him forget that. They forget that if you look at history, it appears to be that when Democrats are in office, we end up in wars. When Republicans come into office, they end up ending the wars. In some cases, certainly. We find ourselves in situations like we did with Iraq, where we had to go into an armed conflict in order to stop a threat in that region. But how do you reconcile that in your own mind, that you could go through the criticisms of this president from day one, and yet understand that because of him, the blood of American troops was simply not shed around the world from new interventions that we frankly should have never been involved in?
Oh, absolutely. And that's a precious moment that we should celebrate as Americans when we can preserve the lives of our service members. And, you know, we have the greatest and strongest military in the world, but we pray that we don't have to use it. And that's what President Trump was able to perpetuate, is this 4 years of no additional foreign entanglements, which George Washington warned us about right at the inception of our nation. And what he did was, I think this is why the establishment hates him so much, because he was able to avert not just the Democrat mandate that they love war, but also the neoconservative position where they want to get into those additional foreign entanglements. He was able to navigate around both of those really calls to get us into some to get us into some entanglements. Like John Bolton tried to pull him in that direction. He was strong. He stood clear on the message, and he was able to preserve that precious American blood that we always want to do.
Now, obviously, people are distressed, and it is a somber day for many. And look at there is a bit of a cloud, if you will, over our country. But your job and my job, and I'm talking about the viewers of this broadcast and other conservative Republicans, is to wipe away the clouds. Let's let the sun shine now. Let's let the sun shine on this country through what? Through keeping the movement that President Trump started rolling on. And keep in mind, folks, President Trump made it very, very clear that he's not going away. He's not going anywhere, and neither are we. We're going to press on, and we're going to do what we must to protect our constitutional rights. Now, we can never allow, and he kind of alluded to this, to his credit, to lead us to believe that it's one man or one person or one organization that has enabled us to progress as far as we have. In fact, the president made it clear it wasn't him. I mean, he led the charge, but it was you. It was the American people. And Tricia, if there's anything he revealed to us, and I'll tell you, I really am grateful for this. He revealed to the American people the raw political power we have. And boy, do we have a lot of power. Power that we have never really exercised, never really used before he became president. You know, our middle America, our grassroots American patriots, truly, we were enslaved to those in power, enslaved to the big money people, enslaved to the political pawnbrokers and operatives and lobbyists. Well, that's not going to happen anymore, folks. And I'll say it over and over again to the discontent, if you will, of establishment politicians. Your days are numbered. Your days are numbered. The GOP in this country will not be the same if I have it my way, and I know if Tricia has it her way, and if you, the American people who support conservative values, have it your way. We cannot go down that road anymore. Tricia, I am still astounded in receiving fundraising letters in the mail from GOP organizations like the New Jersey GOP and others, looking for money to do what? I'm waiting for a letter, a nice letter saying, look, we can stand together. We can work together as Americans. And here's what we need to do. Here is our strategy moving forward. Now, I have been told that when I first mentioned that, through 100 or so messages, finally, somebody's saying it. So the question is, where do you go? What do you do? Who has the plan? Who's willing to step up? And we have the answer. And it was the people who messaged me, reminded me that Campaign for America seems to be the only conservative organization that has a plan. And we offered that plan through our Red Storm Rising program. And I'll share that with you all a little bit later. But my point is this. The continuous fundraising efforts through a very difficult time. It's like, you know, when people are grieving, and our nation is grieving. Listen, let's not hide it. Let's not make any mistake. Got a lot of people in this country grieving and upset. It's going to take a little time to recover from the glory days, if you will. But we must recover, and we must meet the challenges that we have before us. But I've got to tell you, Tricia, when are you going to learn that money is not the solution? You know, asking these hardworking grassroots Americans for their hard-earned dollars, I am sick and tired of giving money to political operatives and establishment politicians who lose. They just simply lose. And instead of coming back with a new day, a new program, a new idea, and I think the greatest and newest idea is what we have here at Campaign for America, as what our buddies out there in Arizona have with their organizations and the other grassroots organizations around the country. You know what that idea is? Be inclusive. Let the forgotten American that President Trump identified in the doors, and let them sit at the table with you, and let them help you make decisions as to who should run for office and what policies that we're going to advance. Wouldn't that be something?
And see, you just hit the nail right on the head. And that is the promise that President Trump made to us at his first inauguration. He said he was going to restore the power to we the people. And now it's our obligation to bring that forward. And you're right, Steve, at Campaign for America, we're working with great organizations like the Arizona GOP, like the Florida GOP. There are some that do it really, really well. And then unfortunately, we have to call out when they don't do it well, when they actually are at cross purposes. And that's unfortunately what we have here with the NJGOP. We're not beyond hope. That's what we're doing. We're trying to pull us all together in the right direction. But when you have leadership like we see now in that entity who are looking to the political body to fuel them rather than doing it the way it's supposed to be done, where the organization is supposed to fuel the candidate and get behind the policies and help to shape the future and join together all across America. They're dropping the ball on that, and we're more than happy to pick up that ball, take the plan that we've put together, and move it forward for the betterment of not just our state, but all America.
And unfortunately, what happens is, in the eyes of the establishment politician, we become a threat to them. And yet, we have stood out, sent out olive branches, made phone calls. We've sent people to visit people and talk and say, look, it's not just about Campaign for America. It's about the American people. You know, this is supposed to be the party of Lincoln, of Reagan, and of Trump. This is supposed to be the party that's inclusive of all Americans. We welcome, believe me, and we have welcomed Democrat conservatives. We've welcomed hundreds of people, maybe thousands at this point, from the walkaway movement, Democrats who walked away. And they don't want to run to a political party that is going to mirror the one that they ran away from, but that's what's happening. So the question is, and I've been asked this over and over and over again, what do we do? What do we do? Do we give up? Do we walk away? What do we do? And the answer is, folks, we take control. We must take control. And the first thing we've got to take control of is the conversation. We've got to take control of what people in this party are talking about and what they are planning to do. Because what they are talking about is gloom and doom. All Republicans do is react. All Republicans do, and I'm not talking about you and me, folks, I'm talking about the leadership, all right? Except, and again, I'll always exclude Florida. Whole different ball game down there, okay? There may be others around the country I'm unaware of, so if you are, please let me know. But I base a lot on what I see in New York and in New Jersey. The fact of the matter is, and even in Washington, by the way, with the national RNC, they react all the time. They're always on the defense. All they do is react. They get information and then they put something out refuting what the Democrats and socialists are saying. We need to go on the offense. We need to get, and I really mean it, let's put on that armor. Let's put on that courage. Let's get some guts and let's go on the attack. Now, when I say the word attack, for the benefit of the press, we're not talking about physical attacks, okay? We're talking about psychological attacks, all right? We're talking about political agendas. Those are the attacks we talk about. It's a shame that, Tricia, we have to qualify some of the things we're saying because they'll cherry pick that and they'll say, oh, Lieutenant Rogers is planning an attack on Mars. What we'll have to do is deal with him later. But it's sad, folks. It would be comical if we didn't live through a press, which I'll get through with in a little later, that we have today. So here's what we need to do. We got to take over the conversation. Instead of the conversation being the dark winter that Joe Biden and his comrades have offered us, let's talk about the shining light, the shining city on a hill, the great days that are ahead for America. Because there are great days. And I got proof. I absolutely have proof. You know, one of the things that I always share with you, we pride ourselves here at Campaign for America, is that everything we say, we have proof. Absolute, inconceivable, uncontrollable, undeniable evidence. We have proof. So, Lieutenant, show me your proof that this is going to remain the shining city on a hill, as Ronald Reagan said it. Show me the proof that we are going to look out for Americans first, as President Donald Trump said to us. The proof is really, really, really close to you. The proof is as far as your mirror is away from you. There is the proof. Look in the mirror. You, the American people. Look at that young lady, young man, elder American, who's a woman or a man. Look in the mirror. There you will see America. There you will see living proof that tomorrow the sun is coming up. Because folks, through all of this, through all of what we went through, we're still here. They didn't get rid of us. They didn't banish us. Yeah, we're hearing reports of Christians who own companies like Mike Lindell, that he's being banned. His products are being banned from certain stores. We're hearing about reports of kids who are not being so-called in line with the conventional thinking of the left, losing their scholarships. I mean, on and on and on. We're hearing some of this stuff. Some of it's true, some of it's false, but it's out there. But we're still here. We're still standing. we're not going away. So that's why we encourage you. Instead of looking down like this, you look down like that. You don't have to be ashamed. Look up, look in the mirror, look at yourself, and look up towards the sky, because there's a big loving God up there who's saying, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. And so, Tricia, I think we have to start taking control of that conversation, start sharing with our fellow patriots how we're going to go on the offense within the framework of the law, and use that God-given, that divine gift he gave us called the Constitution of the United States to destroy the left, destroy the Democrat, Socialist, Communists, and banish them so that they will never, ever rear their ugly heads in this country again.
Oh, absolutely. And you just said a very key word. You used the word offensive. The best defense is a good offense. And what I want to encourage everyone to do that's listening is stand proud and stand strong. Look, I have 3 children. I went through raising toddlers. I know what a temper tantrum looks like. And that's what the left is all about. They may have won this round. That's fine. But what they're doing is they're still in that temper tantrum mode. And what they're trying to do is lash out against Republicans because they think that we're weak. They think that we're divided. They think we've been conquered, but nothing could be further from the truth. We are 75 million strong. We outnumber them when you look at especially the economic equation. Our dollars matter. And if we put our buying might behind great folks like Mike Lindell, and if we put together buyer consortiums, and most importantly, if we unite in a narrative and as voters, there is nothing that we cannot accomplish. They cannot silence 75 million voices. Let's put it together. Let's put our voices together and let's get ready to roar like lions.
We've been down this road before, folks. Politically, it runs in cycles. So I'm going to give you some history and some words of encouragement. I remember when Jimmy Carter was elected to office. Boy, was he going to save the world. He was going to save the United States. Jimmy Carter, the peanut farmer from Georgia, he was going to be the best president that we ever had. Jimmy Carter became president, and the press loved him. They just fell all over Jimmy Carter. Simple little guy from Georgia, a farmer of peanuts. And God bless him. He worked hard. He worked very hard, and I give him credit for that. The American dream became president of the United States. So Jimmy Carter became president. And there was a honeymoon stage. The press loved him. The people loved him. The left loved him. I mean, it was just incredible. Everybody loved Jimmy Carter. But then something happened. You know what happened? The honeymoon was over. And it became a very troubled relationship with the press. That was number one. And the press made sure that that relationship with Jimmy Carter would become very troubled with the people. So not only was Jimmy Carter fighting the Republicans at that time, he ended up fighting some of the radicals in his own party, some of the extremists, and everybody you could imagine that were sick and tired of what? Now, hear me out, folks, and believe me, history is going to repeat itself. Jimmy Carter got into serious trouble when he began to do what? Put more regulations on American industry, more regulations on American manufacturing. Jimmy Carter got into trouble when we woke up one morning and realized we couldn't gas our cars up. Now, that's a fact, folks. For those of you who haven't been around that long, you start doing some history digging, and you'll find that we were unable to get gas. I was a young cop at that time. There were lines a mile long in every gas station in this country. Fights were breaking out. In some places, people were killed. And the fact of the matter is that it was not only gas. You couldn't get bread at places. You couldn't get milk. You couldn't get this. You couldn't get that. All because the peanut farmer decided that, you know what, I'm going to save the world, save the country, because I have the press with me. I have my party with me. I have the people with me. Sound familiar? Does it sound familiar, folks? Because we're living that same cycle today. Joe Biden is promising us everything, right? Everything. And he's doing what Jimmy Carter did in the 70s. So here's what's going to happen. The honeymoon. those so-called wannabe journalists who you just can't trust anymore, they're going to fall all over him. Believe me, the press conferences that his press secretary has is going to be like a flower show. Everything's going to be hunky-dory. Everything's going to be great. But they'll have no one to make fake news about. So what do you think they're going to do, folks? Because the ratings are going to go down on their newscast. And you got to know something about the press of the 21st century. Not of the time when I grew up. They were real journalists. But of these phonies and these fakes and these frauds, as Bob Grant used to say on ABC News. They're not going to be able to sustain a relationship with President Joe Biden because he's going to become a train wreck. Because when he does what Jimmy Carter did, gas lines, food lines, there's going to be all sorts of chaos across our country. Foreign policy is going to be a train wreck. So before we get into some specifics, what do you think, Trish? You think we're going to see now history repeat itself? That's why I'm telling our viewers and others, as Sean Hannity always says, let not your heart be troubled. Wait and see.
That's right. And I think that the guarantee is in what we've seen already in the form of weak leadership. Jimmy Carter, you can like him as a person, but the reality is he was a very, very weak leader. And what happened there was he got entangled with, we remember the Iranian situation. The Shah of Iran was ousted. And in 1979, when the Ayatollah Khomeini took control of that country, we had the Iran hostage situation, and Jimmy Carter was supremely ineffective. But let's look what happened. It created the void that led to President Ronald Reagan. And on day one, he clamped down, hostages were released, gas prices went down. We had a whole new world that we were looking at. That's about leading through strength. Look, do we wish it were different? Of course we do, but this is the reality that we have right now. And I think that the words that you just spoke, Steve, I think that that's going to be the writing on the wall. And I think we're going to see it day by day. And I encourage everyone, don't let up one bit on that narrative. Lead through strength as we the people as well. Hold these people accountable for what they're doing to our country. And those 4 years will tick quickly away. Let's start looking at the next GOP leadership now. And we're thrilled to be part of that here at Campaign for America.
A little bit more history to encourage you folks, letting you know that there is a dawn of a new day coming for America. And as Tricia just said, we prepare for the next GOP in the United States of America. Many of you may not know, and again, I ask you to do a little digging in your history books, that there are 3 American presidents who are Republicans who were the most maligned and criticized as they ran for the presidency and as they remained in office, and in some cases, after they left office. Now, listen to this, folks. This is really interesting. There's a common thread here that I'm going to share with you. The first, or maybe close to the first, most maligned president, called every name in the book, actually called a dummy, stupid, an idiot, an imbecile. I mean, called the most vicious, vile names that anyone could ever call a president, was Abraham Lincoln. Imagine that, Abraham Lincoln. And he turned out to be perhaps the most popular, effective president, famous president, and best president this country ever had. He rose to the challenge, and he met that challenge, and he kept this country together. And you go a few years later, another president, maligned, criticized, ridiculed. You wouldn't know this until you really dug down deep and found out the who, what, when, where, and why. Many, many people on the left, a lot on the right, and many in the middle criticized this guy. Another guy, they said, he's this, he's that. Now, here's the hint, folks. He's just an actor. What does he know? His name is Ronald Reagan. Again, one of the greatest, finest presidents that this country ever had in our lifetime. And till today, he is still revered as a great, great president with great accomplishments. Now we move up a little further. Then you got a guy who decides that I'm going to leave my business. I'm going to leave my money and my investments. I'm going to help my country. And that guy decides to come down an elevator in a building in New York City with his wife and announces that he's going to be the president of the United States. And immediately he was maligned, ridiculed. His friends turned on him. His associates turned on him. His Political allies turned on him. And all they did for 4 years is torture this guy. In fact, my wife and I had many conversations. Even my mother, 95 years old, said this poor guy didn't have a day of enjoyment being president of the United States of America. But you see, that was our view. But the other day, this president named Donald Trump, he revealed to us that the greatest joy he had, remember this, Trish, when in his speech? The greatest joy he had of his presidency was when he was out on the road watching the American people wave those American flags. All three of these presidents, Lincoln, Reagan, and Trump, contributed so much to so many, but didn't get much in return from who? From the political establishment, from the naysayers, from the communists. Who the heck wants anything from them? But they did get something, admiration from the American people and their love, and as well as their loyalty. So, you know, Tricia, that's to me is just living proof that we're going through a cycle, but based on what Lincoln did and what Reagan did and what Trump did and what Trump's going to do down the road and what we, the American people, will do, we're going to build a brand new Republican Party in this country of the people, by the people, and for the people.
Oh, amen to that. And I think then we come full circle to what Abraham Lincoln called for in a time of great division in our country, in the midst of a civil war. He asked that Americans give their full measure of devotion. And when we see what Ronald Reagan did down through time, as you just outlined, and how President Trump gave all for all of us, we can now pick up that mantle and move it forward. And that's what we have to do. We have to be the light. We have to continue the mission. And there are great days to come. I have no doubt, because again, in this void that's now been created, that gives us a chance to fill this nation back up with common sense, sound policy, and the American people who are going to do this job with honor and valor and for the sake of all of us.
Now, remember I said, folks, we go on the offense. We got to start to control the conversation. Well, I'm going to fire the first shot. Ooh, I used the term first shot. No, for the benefit of the press and the left and all those out there, I have no weapons here. I'm not firing any guns, but I'm going to fire the first political shot, folks. And I'm going to do it in this manner. Every single day we heard on CNN and other left-wing newscasts a list that they had called The Lies of Donald Trump. New York Times, 1, 2, 3,000 lies, 10,000 lies, right? So they were controlling the conversation in their sphere of influence, just telling us every night, here's what President Trump lied about. It ended up that they took just about everything out of context and they twisted his words. So I'm going to now let you know that I have discovered, going on the offense, the first lie of Joe Biden. The first lie, folks, and I could prove it. Remember I said I could prove everything I say? So here's the first lie. Now think about this one. Joe Biden, through his entire speech today and through his campaign, was talking about unity. I'm going to be the president of all the people, and I am going to unify this country. And I'm reaching out to the conservatives and to the Republicans. I'm reaching out to those people who didn't support me. Believe me, I am going to represent you. And I'm going to unite this country. So here, that's a lie, folks. You want to know why it's a lie? Because Joe Biden has been, let's say, people have suggested to him within the Democrat Party circle to get a hold of Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and tell them to end the madness of impeachment. End it. It's going to further divide the country. It's going to further destroy the efforts of trying to unite this country. And Joe Biden isn't going to do that. He's not going to do it, folks. I hope he does. I hope enough pressure gets put on him that he does. So if President Joe Biden is true to his word that he wants to unite the country, he needs to do that. He needs to get rid of this ridiculous time, taxpayer wasted insurrection in and of itself in the United States Congress called an impeachment. We don't need to go down that road because it'll never be sustained in a court of law. It's just one of those rabbit holes Tricia designed not to unite the country, but to divide the country. So I would categorize that as lie number one.
Without question, what he's showing himself to be is a unifier in name only. And it's also displaying more of that weak leadership, because both Nancy Pelosi and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the leadership in the Senate, that's all Democrat now. He has no excuse that he has an opposition of another party. All of those leaders in both the House and the US Senate have said that Joe Biden is their leader. He's the leader of the Democrat Party. But if he cannot rein in this impeachment scheme that is going to further divide the country, he's a leader in name only as well. I mean, this just spells disaster right out of the gate for all the Democrats who are trying to step up and who are actually falling all over each other. And it's up to us to point that out and to stay on it. Don't give them, let's be relentless on for calling out all of their lies, all of their deception, and all of this disunity, because they didn't give us a moment's peace. Let's stand for truth and call this out. They've got a fractionation in their party, and Joe Biden is showing himself to be the weak leader that he always has been.
Remember, we're going on the offense. So let's go to lie number two. Joe Biden says that he's going to roll out a plan to control the virus, to contain it, to aggressively go after it. Then how do you explain that if this is your plan, that you're about to let into this country thousands and thousands of illegal immigrants on our southern border who may have the virus, who in no way is going to be able to be checked within a reasonable amount of time and thoroughly by any medical personnel as they enter this country? So how on earth can you say you're going to control the virus and you're going to roll out a plan to mitigate it when you're going to allow maybe 100,000 people without any idea what their medical conditions are into this country? I think that qualifies as a blatant lie number two, Tricia.
It really does. And, as a former biochemist, I am particularly concerned about the testing that could go on, that needs to go on with these people who are already storming the border. We've seen the film footage. There are over 4,500 folks from Honduras that have broken through the barriers in Guatemala. The Border Patrol there was trying to keep them back, and they just slipped right through without consequence. So the next step is to migrate straight through Mexico, and then they are at our United States border. What's the plan, Joe Biden? How many tests are you going to ship out? Because you've got to start doing that right now. They're going to be here quickly. And why, Joe Biden, would you risk the health of all of the Americans that you want to lead by letting this caravan come up yet again? There's no plan. And this is the first right out of the gate. If there's no plan for this, how can there be any kind of COVID plan in general?
And finally, on the offensive, lie number three. Imagine all these lies today, folks. He talked about criminal justice reform. And he said in his speeches, we have to treat everyone equally. If you're guilty, you're guilty. You're innocent, you're innocent. But there has to be investigations of wrongdoing. We have to have an ethics pledge in the United States Congress and in every single office across this land from elected officials. You know why that's a lie, folks? It's a lie because there's a guy named Hunter Biden. What happened to that investigation? What happened to the allegations made against him? What happened to Burisma? What happened to all of this? I mean, if you're going to talk about uniting us, bringing us together, treating us equally, doesn't that criminal justice reform you're talking about include possible alleged criminal activity of your son, Hunter? Not a word, Tricia, not a word. Instead, they're talking about prosecuting President Trump. They're talking about prosecuting, and I got the papers right here, 2 United States congressmen who are elected representatives, Republicans, for what they call suspicious behavior. And they're talking about throwing them out of Congress. You see, this idea of unity, I think it's great. I support it. Now, one might say, Lieutenant, are you really now not advancing the concept of unity? No, I'm not. Because I will not unite myself with liars and deceivers right off the bat. I will not unite myself with people who say that they are American patriots while they are opposed to my constitutional rights to free speech, my constitutional right of worship, my constitutional right to bear arms, the constitutional right to life. I mean, folks, I could go right down the list. Now, does that serve any purpose? Yes, it does. Because what we do, folks, is we're going to do what they've done, and they've done it effectively. Except they've done it by a lot of fake news. They've done it by a lot of taking things out of context, but we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We're going to actually take their words and just repeat them to you verbatim. And then we're going to share with you why we believe they are lies. So let them prove us wrong. All right. Let's see Joe Biden have that little meeting he'll have with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and put an end to this ridiculous, dividing, divisive impeachment. Let's see if he goes down the road of blocking the caravan coming up from Honduras, keeping the wall up, and keeping in place President Trump's immigration policies. He wants to control the virus. Well, that's a good step. And let's see, folks, if he's going to stay away from, in every way, shape, and form, the Hunter Biden investigation. Let's see if he's going to comment on it. Let's see where he's going to go with that. So there's our test. All right. And then we'll take it from there. But in the meantime, we need to unite. We need to stay strong. We need to stay tough. And like I said, let's not put our heads in the sand. No more gloom and doom. Let's unite. Let's get on the offensive. And how do you do that? We're going to give you weapons. Yep, there we go again, Tricia. I mentioned the word weapons. Holy smokes. It comes out of my military training, folks, and being a cop for 38 years. Natasha, I said the word weapons. My goodness, what a rough night for me, Trish. They're going to have the FBI at my door. That lieutenant there talking about a shot being fired. He's talking about weapons. He's talking about an attack. Holy smokes. Hey, if I'm not on the air tomorrow night, folks, I'm going to be asking for bail. I can't get bail under the new reform. Actually, probably under the new reform bail bills. I'll just never go. I'll just never go to jail. I'll just let me go. So anyway, folks, all kidding aside, you see, we can laugh, right, Trish? We need to laugh a little bit, right? We
Absolutely.
need to laugh a little. So here's the instruments, instruments, if you will, the tools, if you will, that Campaign for America will give you. Operation Red Storm Rising is a PDF file. Hopefully it'll be finished by Friday. It's a 7-step plan. We may get to 10 steps by the time we're through with it. That'll help you organize people in your neighborhood and your community to do what? To take over the conversation. To do what? To educate, to empower people, to empower yourself, to get involved right from your home where you can make effective changes on a grassroots level. And we've heard from people. Trish, 2 or 3 people already contacted us. They want to run for office here in the state of New Jersey. And you've been in touch with some of them, right?
I have. I've spoken to all of them who have contacted us, and keep it coming. This is how we start. This is the energy that we need to move forward. This is the grassroots initiative that the Democrats have been so good at, that we're going to beat them at their own game. And we have 3 great candidates already. We're looking to build on that. We've got school board nominees that are considering running, and we need federal level. We need every level of community involvement. Please let us know, because this is our time to move the ball forward and get those great candidates out there.
And in addition to residents of New Jersey, residents of Florida, Arizona, I think there was one from New York and one from Virginia who has been in touch with us where they want to get involved. They need help, all right? Now, isn't it interesting, Tricia? Almost to a person, they said to me, well, we called our Republican Party representatives and we got no help. In some cases, we got no answer. In all cases, we got no guidance. So we have to take care of ourselves. We have to take over the conversation. Now, there are some GOP organizations around the country, a whole load of them in Florida. And I've got to tell you, we got a few impressive ones here in New Jersey. We had Tim Howe on the other night, Somerset GOP here in New Jersey. Laura Alley over there in Morristown doing a bang-up job trying to get grassroots people involved. We've got the chairwoman, first name's Lisa, last name escapes me, down in Mercer County, doing a great job. Jerry Scanlon over there in Sussex County, Peter Murphy in Passaic County. I mean, these are people who are really, truly trying to work hard to get the grassroots level people involved in their campaign. So it's not all bad, all right? It's not all gloom and doom, but it is bad when the leadership at the top, your state representatives and your federal national GOP representatives kind of turn ahead, away from you, not towards you. So we're going to fill that gap. That's why we say we're not in competition with the GOP. We'll hit them. We'll hit them hard. We're not afraid to do that, but we're hitting them to wake them up. And hopefully some of them will come around. All right. So would you like to have, folks, the Operation Red Storm Rising PD format? We're going to send it to you free by the end of the week. All you got to do is email us, mail@C4USA.us. C, the number 4, the letter A, okay, USA.us. All right. Now, here's something else for you. And I'm only going to say this because people have asked me for it. You see this here, folks, this little challenge coin here? It says Campaign for America with our very powerful eagle on there. And on the back, we've got, here it is, Psalm, all right, Psalm 37:23. Now, if you'd like to have one of these, go to our store. We do have a store. As we said, we don't go out of our way and every night say, hey, would you donate to us? We don't do that. But a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll purchase something in our store. And they're purchasing these coins because they could carry them around and they could show them to people. In fact, Tricia, we had somebody purchase about a dozen of them and they're going to give them away. And the neat thing about these coins, it says campaign not for a political candidate, but for America. And on the back, and this is where we fulfill our promise to God. We did promise him that everything we do, we pray about, and we include him in everything we do, is Psalm 37:23. So it's a reminder that this is for our country and for God. It's a neat little thing to carry around, folks. I carry one all the time. So if you'd like to have that, go to campaign for the number 4 America.store. Campaign the number 4 America.store. And if you'd like to purchase one, go ahead. All right. And it would be a great help to us in 2 ways, in helping us do what we're doing here, but more so heightening the awareness of the people around you. Hey, Trish, anything left to say? It's 7:09, a little bit early, but by the way, we're breaking those records on viewership. I think I said it earlier, between 25 and 30,000 viewers within a 24-hour period.
And that's so exciting. And you know what we're going to do in this heavy lifting moving forward is going to require that unity. So we are here. We're ready to stand up with you. We're so thrilled that you join us every night. Please continue to do so at 6:30 p.m. every night Eastern Standard Time. And we look forward to this next step in this incredible journey with you.
And look, what comes along with Operation Red Storm Rising, this is important. You want to have a meeting in your house, we're coming at your invitation. We'll use our technology, our cameras, our Zoom. We'll help you set up a Chrome where you could actually put put our program on your TV. We'll help you do everything, folks. And we'll join you at your meeting. And in addition, Tricia, this idea just dawned upon me. As we're doing that, you know, we've had roundtable discussions and we're going to have our prayer brunch schedule soon. But what if we even offered this? What if we offered a roundtable discussion, almost like a workshop for people who want to run for office, and let them know step by step what you have to do, what it takes, so that'll give them the ability to ask us questions. I never had that opportunity. I mean, I'm sure you didn't either. We ended up as, you know, grassroots Americans deciding to run for office. And when you went for help, whoa, that person's running for office. Let's find out who they are. They're a threat. So how about we do this? How about we offer that? You know, we'll talk about it this week. And if anyone wants to run for office in their community, let's give them the opportunity to sit with us. What do you think of that?
Oh, I think that's a great idea. And what I did when I went through my journey is I put together kind of a campaign in a box, because you're right that, and I don't think that they do this on purpose, but when you have to go county by county, like you do in New Jersey, every county has different rules. Some counties don't even have their contact information on their website. So what do you do? And I had to go and, you know, it was like the MacGyver technique. I had to use a, you know, paper clip and some bubble gum and some string and put it all together. But the learning that I put together is this box of information. And I am more than happy to share that. I think you and I both can do that for folks who want to understand how to navigate through the system. I think that's a great idea. Let's do it.
Well, good for you. At least you had the opportunity to build your own box. When I announced I was running, they actually built a box, stuck me in it, and nailed it, and didn't want me to come out. But I broke out, and I had a very successful political career. That's a fact, folks. That's the reality of politics. But what did I say? We're going to go on the offensive, right? We're going to control the conversation. And we, the people, are now going to hold them accountable, them establishment politicians, for their actions in both parties. That's it, folks. So we're going to post our emails. By all means, please email us, and we'll give you all the information we can. Visit our store at campaign, the number 4america.store. And we'll see you 6:30 p.m. tomorrow night here on Campaign for America. Thanks so much. And Tricia, please share, right? You say it better than me.
Oh, you know what? Don't get sick of me saying it. Share, share, share.
And
let's.
There you go. Let's roll. All right, 6:30 p.m. tomorrow night, folks, here on Campaign for America. Always keep everybody in this country, your family, friends, neighbors, just keep our nation in prayer. And let's remember that the dawn of a new day is coming. The best of America is yet to come. Why? Because you are in control. We the people. God bless you all. Have a great evening, and we're going to see you tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m.